The sun was hot above the alien desert, burning everything it touched. Liam walked alone, sand crunching under his boots. His backpack was heavy, and his face was covered in sweat. But his eyes were focused, curious, full of hunger for discovery. He was a human archaeologist exploring an alien world called HFY. The planet had no cities, no people, only ruins, rocks, and silence. For years, no one dared to explore this place. They said it was cursed. They said those who went too deep never returned. But Liam didn't believe in curses. He believed in science and stories. He stopped on a high dune and looked far into the horizon. That's when he saw her. A girl was standing alone in the middle of the desert. Her skin was pale blue, and her long silver hair blew in the wind. She was not human. Her large violet eyes locked onto Liam, calm and sharp. She didn't look lost. She looked like she was waiting. "Are you real?" Liam whispered, blinking. The alien girl tilted her head and said in a quiet voice, "You finally came." Liam stepped closer. Who are you?" "My name is Vera," she said, "and I have something to show you, but only if you're ready to see the truth." Her voice was strange calm, melodic, but it carried weight, like she wasn't just speaking to Liam, but to something older. "What truth?" he asked. She turned and walked away, barefoot in the burning sand, not even flinching. "Follow me." Liam hesitated for only a moment, then he followed. They walked for over an hour without speaking. Only the wind whispered between them. The sun fell lower, and shadows grew longer. Just when Liam thought they were lost, he saw something rise from the dunes ahead. It was massive black stone, tall like a mountain, buried in the sand with only the top visible, a pyramid, unlike anything built on Earth or any known alien world. The surface shimmered like obsidian, but with cracks glowing faint blue underneath. It didn't look broken. It looked asleep. Vera stopped near the base. "This is the beginning," she said, "but also the end, depending on what you do next." Liam stared at the strange structure. "What is it?" "It's older than my people, older than yours too," she said. "They say it tests the heart of anyone who enters." Liam's hand reached out and touched the black stone. It was warm, pulsing softly like a heartbeat. Vera quickly grabbed his wrist. "Don't touch anything unless you're ready," she said, her voice sharp now. "If the pyramid opens, there is no turning back." He pulled his hand away, breathing hard. "Why did you bring me here?" She looked at him for a long time before answering. "Because it called for you," he frowned. "What do you mean it called for me?" "How?" She turned her eyes to the sky. "Every few centuries, the pyramid chooses someone. It shows a vision. To the dreamers, to the seers. And for the last 10 years, it's been showing your face." Liam felt a cold wave crawl up his spine. "My face? But I'm from Earth. How could it?" Before he could finish, something strange happened. One of the pyramid stones lit up beneath his feet. A symbol appeared on it, glowing bright gold. The pyramid let out a low sound, like a breath held for 1,000 years. "Liam!" Vera shouted, stepping back. "You touched the glyph." "I didn't mean to," he shouted back, raising his hands. But it was too late. The symbol pulsed, brighter and brighter. Then the ground trembled. Sand shook loose from the pyramid's side, revealing more glowing cracks. A large square door slowly formed in the side of the black stone. It opened with a long hiss. A rush of cold air escaped, as if the pyramid had been holding its breath all this time. The air smelled like old metal, lightning, and something ancient. Liam stared into the darkness beyond the door. His heartbeat was loud in his ears. Vera stepped forward and grabbed his arm again. "This door hasn't opened in thousands of years," she said. "Not even for my people." Liam swallowed hard. "So what do we do now?" She looked up at him, her eyes wide but calm. "Now, you walk in." The wind blew around them, whispering secrets only the sand could understand, and the pyramid waited. Liam took one step forward, then another. The pyramid's door stood wide open now. glowing slightly from the edges, cold air drifted out like the place inside had been frozen in time. He could feel that something ancient was watching, not with eyes, but with memory. Vera stayed close behind him, her bare feet silent against the stone. Her voice was quiet, but steady. "The pyramid doesn't open for just anyone." Liam looked over his shoulder. "Why me?" "I'm just a human explorer." She didn't answer. Instead, she looked into the darkness and said, "Because it remembers who you used to be." The sentence didn't make sense, but Liam didn't have time to question it. They both stepped inside. The interior wasn't what he expected. There were no cobwebs, no dry bones, no sand-filled corridors. Instead, the walls were made of smooth black material that reflected their faces like a mirror. Strange symbols flickered across them in soft blue light, symbols that moved, changed, then vanished. The floor lit up with each step they took, but it didn't feel electronic. It felt alive. "Is this technology or magic?" Liam whispered. "Something in between," Vera replied. "My people called it living memory." The pyramid was built by a civilization so advanced, even we don't fully understand it. They moved deeper, and the door behind them closed with a loud boom, trapping them inside. Liam turned quickly. "Wait, what?" "It always does that," Vera said calmly. "Once it begins, you must finish." A soft hum began to vibrate through the walls. Then the entire hallway lit up, showing paintings moving like short videos. One showed a massive alien fleet in battle, ships crashing into each other, explosions tearing across space. Another showed people kneeling before the pyramid, holding something up with both hands. And then one image froze. A human face stared out from it, clear and sharp, with short dark hair and green eyes. Liam's own eyes. He stepped closer. Heart pounding. That's me. "It looks like you," Vera said softly. "But that memory is over 10,000 years old." "That's impossible," Liam muttered. "I'm not that old." "No," Vera said, stepping beside him. "But maybe your soul is Eve." The lights dimmed suddenly, the floor rumbled again, and the hallway split in two directions. One path glowed gold, warm and calm. The other pulsed red, dark and stormy. A voice echoed through the walls, smooth and deep. "Trial 1. Step into your truth." "What does that mean?" Liam asked. Vera pointed to the gold path. "One of these paths will show you what you hide from yourself. And the red one? It will show you what you've already lost." Liam hesitated. His mind screamed for logic, for control, but his heart beat louder. He took a deep breath and stepped onto the gold path. Instantly, the walls closed around him, and Vera vanished from sight. He was alone. The light around him shimmered, and suddenly he was no longer in the pyramid. He was back on Earth, standing in a field of green grass. He could hear birds, the wind, laughter in the distance. And then he saw them. His mother, smiling at him, just like she used to when he was a boy. His older brother, standing tall in his military uniform, and himself, a younger Liam, full of life, asking questions, always dreaming. "Why are you showing me this?" He asked the sky. A whisper answered, "Because you forgot who you were." He watched as the memory shifted. His brother was now shouting. Smoke in the air, war all around. Then the explosion, then silence. Liam dropped to his knees, pain rising in his chest. That was the day he stopped dreaming. The day he chose space over Earth. Running from grief, not chasing discovery. The field vanished, and the pyramid walls returned. He was lying on the ground, breathless. Vera appeared beside him. "You saw it, didn't you?" He nodded. "It showed me the truth I was hiding." She helped him stand. "The pyramid doesn't test your body, it tests your spirit." Another door opened before them, this one taller, wider. Inside was a massive chamber filled with floating cubes, each glowing with different colors. "More memories?" Liam asked. "No," Vera said, stepping inside. "These are choices." As Liam entered, each cube flickered to life, showing visions of future possibilities. Some were beautiful peace, connection, hope. Others were terrifying war, darkness, Extinction. One cube stopped spinning and focused on him. A hologram appeared above it. It was him again, older, standing on a stage, speaking to thousands of aliens and humans together. Another cube showed him as a soldier, leading a war that turned entire worlds to dust. "These aren't predictions," Liam said, his voice shaking. "These are warnings," Vera nodded. "This place sees the paths you could walk, but the pyramid wants to know which one you will choose." He looked down at his hands, trembling. "On just one man, but maybe," Vera said with a gentle smile. "One man is enough." Behind them, a second voice filled the air, darker, colder. "Then let us begin the real test." A deep rumble shook the chamber, and the floor beneath them cracked open. The floor split wide beneath Liam and Vera, and before either could react, they were falling. No screams, no end, only weightlessness. Then, without warning, they landed softly, not on stone, but on a glowing, smooth surface that felt like air. "Turn solid," Liam groaned and opened his eyes above him. Stars shimmered in a dome-like sky, not the real sky, but some kind of projection. Vera stood beside him, silent, her eyes scanning everything. The air was heavy with silence until a voice echoed around them, cold and powerful. "You have entered the core. The trial of essence will now begin." Liam stood slowly. "Trial of essence? What does that mean?" Vera's voice was low. "It means the pyramid will see what's truly inside you, what you carry, what you hide." The floor lit up, forming a circle around them. Symbols began to spin along the edge. Some looked alien, some strangely human. The voice spoke again. "We test not your strength, but your core, your choices, your pain, your truth." Suddenly, the ground split into 3 paths before Liam. Each path shimmered with light, and above each, an image formed. One showed Earth on fire, cities falling, people screaming. The second showed Vera, locked in chains, being dragged away by soldiers. The third showed Liam himself, older, sitting alone in a dark room, tired, forgotten. Vera stepped forward. "You can only choose one." Liam looked at the 3 paths, his heart beating faster. "What happens when I choose?" "You face it," she said, completely. He stared at the burning earth, then at Vera in chains, then at his older, broken self. He clenched his fists and stepped toward the second path, the one where Vera suffered. The voice boomed. "Trial accepted." The light swallowed him, and Vera vanished. He was now standing in a prison made of steel and shadows, cold wind blowing through bars carved with glowing alien symbols. In the center of the room, chained and bruised, was Vera, but this wasn't the real Vera, it was a vision. She looked up at him with tired eyes. "Why did you leave me?" she asked, her voice full of pain. Liam stepped closer. "I didn't. I wouldn't." She shook her head. "You chose your world over me." The chains around her pulsed with red light. From the shadows, dark figures formed, tall, armored aliens, faceless and cruel. One of them raised a weapon, pointing it at Vera. "Stop!" Liam shouted, running forward, but the chains around her lifted her into the air. "Tell me," the Vera in chains whispered, "am I just a guide to you, or someone worth saving?" Liam's voice broke. "You're more than that. You risked everything for me." The room shook, and the figures froze. The chains began to melt away. The vision faded, and Liam found himself back in the glowing hall. Vera was standing in front of him, very real. She looked at him and said softly, "You chose me." Liam nodded, still catching his breath. "I couldn't let you suffer, not even in a vision." The voice returned, calmer now, empathy recorded. Next phase, reveal. The ground changed again, and this time, a huge mirror rose before Liam. But this mirror didn't reflect what was outside. It reflected his regrets, his mistakes, the things he had buried deep inside. He saw his younger self walking away from his family after his brother's funeral. He saw the day he ignored a distress call from a refugee ship, thinking someone else would help. He saw the lie he once told to protect his reputation, knowing it hurt someone else. Liam dropped to his knees. "I'm not a hero," he whispered. "I've made so many mistakes," the voice responded. Then, "Rise as someone who learns." The mirror shattered not into shards, but into light. The pieces floated around him, entering his skin like glowing dust. Vera walked to him and placed a hand on his shoulder. "This is what the pyramid wants," she said. "Not perfection, but truth." A large door appeared ahead, golden and calm. The voice spoke again. "Final phase unlocked, but beware beyond." "This door lies what cannot be undone." Liam looked at Vera. "What does that mean?" "It means the next part is real," she said. "No more visions, no more tests. Then let's finish this," Liam said, stepping toward the door. As he placed his hand on it, the gold faded into black and the door opened into a space. Filled with stars, a figure stood waiting in the center. Tall and glowing, it turned slowly, revealing no face, just light. "Liam of Earth," it said, "you have come far. Now choose the future." The glowing figure stood silently. Surrounded by a swirling galaxy of stars, Liam stared, his heart pounding. It felt like standing before a god, except this god didn't promise salvation, only judgment. Vera walked up beside him, her eyes fixed on the being. She didn't look surprised. She looked ashamed. "You knew this would happen," Liam said quietly. Vera didn't reply at first. Then she spoke, not looking at him. "I hoped it wouldn't." Liam stepped back. "You brought me here, knowing I might be judged, knowing I might die." "I brought you because I didn't have a choice," she said, her voice trembling. "My people made a deal long ago when we failed the pyramid's test. We offered it something in return." Liam's face went pale. "What did you offer?" Vera finally looked at him, pain in her eyes. "The next candidate." Liam felt like the floor dropped beneath him again. "You sacrificed me." "No," she said quickly. "I chose you because I believed you were different, because I wanted to break the cycle." He shook his head, stepping away. "You lied to me." "Yes," she whispered. "But not about everything." The glowing figure's voice filled the room, deep and still. "The companion has spoken truth, but the choice remains." "What choice?" Liam asked, confused, angry, hurt. The stars around them swirled and formed images. One showed Earth burning, a future where humanity failed. Another showed a galaxy united, with humans and aliens working side by side. And in the center, Liam, standing alone, always alone. "One path brings peace, but at your cost," the figure said. "The other preserves your life, but dooms many." Liam stared at the visions, his heart screaming. He looked at Vera again. "So I was never meant to leave this pyramid alive." Vera's voice broke. "I didn't know it would go this far." She took a shaky breath. "But I know now that if one life can save millions, it should." He stared at her in silence. Then something inside him shifted. "Why do you care now?" he asked. "Why not just walk away like your people did before?" "Because I've seen you," she said softly. "You risked yourself to save me, even when it was just a vision. You stood for mercy when the pyramid asked for power. You reminded me what it means to believe in something better." Liam looked at the swirling stars again. He saw children, alien and human, playing together in a bright city. He saw warships lowering their weapons. He saw something Earth had never truly known: peace. But he also saw his own grave, a quiet, nameless tomb at the heart of the pyramid. The voice spoke once more. "Will you give yourself to the flame of change? Or return to the world you know, leaving the galaxy to burn?" Liam closed his eyes. He remembered his brother's last words. "If you can do good, do it, even if it costs you." When he opened his eyes, he looked at Vera. "Promise me," he said. "If I do this, it won't be for nothing." Vera stepped forward and held his hand, her touch warm and trembling. "I promise," she said. "I'll tell the stars about you." Liam turned to the figure. "That I choose to give myself so others can live." The stars dimmed, the floor beneath him lit with golden light. A hum filled the space, deep and powerful. the figure raised its hand, and a beam of pure white energy surrounded Liam. He didn't scream. He didn't run. He stood tall, eyes closed, ready. The light grew so bright that even Vera had to step back, covering her face. Then silence. When the light faded, Liam was gone. No body, no trace. Only a glowing mark on the floor where he stood, shaped like a human heart, pulsing slowly with life. The figure spoke to Vera one last time. He has been accepted. The future has been rebalanced. Then the stars faded, the chamber dimmed, and a path opened behind her, a way out. Tears streamed down Vera's face. As she turned to leave, she paused at the glowing heart, kneeled beside it, and whispered, "You were the only human I ever trusted." As she walked away, the pyramid pulsed with soft light, and far across the galaxy, stars began to shift. A new future had begun, but the cost would never be forgotten. Vera walked through the new corridor slowly, her footsteps echoing on the smooth stone floor. The glowing heart behind her faded into silence, but its warmth still lingered in her chest. She had never expected to care for a human. Her people taught her that humans were selfish, chaotic, always chasing power. But Liam, he had been different. He gave everything, not for glory, not for gain, but because it was right. The hallway curved downward, gently pulling her deeper into the pyramid. She didn't know why she was still being allowed to move forward. The trial was over. The human had made the ultimate sacrifice, and yet the pyramid still whispered her name. The walls began to shift and shimmer, glowing symbols fading into new shapes. Then, without warning, the corridor opened into a massive circular chamber. At the center stood a tall crystal structure, surrounded by floating panels of light. Each panel held an image, frozen in time like a photograph. Vera gasped. The images were of Liam, not just the Liam she knew, but different versions of him. In one, he was a soldier, standing on a battlefield, leading troops into peace talks. In another, he was a scientist, solving a plague that once wiped out millions. And in one more, he was a father, lifting a small alien child into the air, laughing. These weren't dreams. They were memories, possible lives Liam would never get to live now. "This is the room of memories," came the voice, soft now, like a whisper of wind. "A place to witness what was lost and what was saved." Vera stepped forward, her eyes filling with tears. "So these are the lives he gave up?" "Yes," the voice replied. "Every soul who chooses selflessness is remembered here, because those who give everything must never be forgotten." The crystal structure in the middle began to glow brighter. As Vera approached, it responded to her presence, opening slowly like a blooming flower. Inside, she saw something unexpected. A glowing sphere hovered in the center, and inside it, a flicker of Liam's face, not alive, not speaking, but smiling. She reached toward it, and when her fingers touched the light, the air shifted. Suddenly she was surrounded by Liam's memories. She saw him as a child, building little ships from scrap parts. She saw his first time looking at the stars. Wide-eyed and full of wonder, she felt his grief when his brother died. She felt his loneliness as he explored alien worlds with no one to call family. And then she saw herself, Liam's memory of meeting her, his confusion, his curiosity, his trust. She had meant something to him, something real. Vera stumbled back. Breathless, the light faded and the sphere slowly closed. The pyramid's voice returned. "He gave you the path, so you may now give the purpose." "What do you mean?" She whispered. "The future he bought with his life must be built by those who remain. Your path is not finished." Vera stood in silence for a moment. The pyramid wasn't letting her leave just to honor Liam. It was giving her a choice too, to walk away with knowledge or carry the burden forward. She turned to the floating panels again. One showed a gathering of humans and aliens, building a new alliance, and standing at the front was her, older, stronger, but clearly her, leading others with Liam's name carved into a monument behind her. "Will you help me remember him?" she asked the pyramid, her voice shaking. The chamber glowed brighter. He is already remembered. But through you, he will be known. A doorway opened to her left, filled with golden light, a way out, not into the desert, but into the stars. Vera stepped toward it, one hand pressed over her heart. I will carry him with me, she said, everywhere. As she walked through the glowing door, the room of memories slowly dimmed. The crystal closed again, the floating panels paused, but the warmth of a single human choice still burned quietly in the heart of the pyramid. Outside, the sky of Zephyrian 5 was no longer dark. A new dawn had broken across the sands, and far beyond, in the deep reaches of space, something had changed. The pyramid had found what it was searching for, and now it would wait for the next soul brave enough to answer its call. Vera stepped through the glowing doorway and found herself standing inside a vast chamber unlike anything she had seen before. The ceiling stretched so high it disappeared into mist. Stars twinkled above, as if the sky itself had folded into the room. The floor was made of silver light, soft beneath her feet but firm, almost like memory turned solid. She took a step forward, heart heavy and unsure. The room of memories had shown her the weight of Liam's sacrifice, but this new space pulsed with something different: power, judgment, destiny. A voice rang out across the chamber, louder than thunder but calm like still water. You carry the memory of the chosen. Now we test your will. Vera stopped in her tracks, her eyes narrowing. From the shadows ahead, something moved. A tall figure stepped forward, cloaked in golden armor that shimmered with ancient light. Its face was hidden behind a mask shaped like a star. Its steps made no sound, but its presence shook the air itself. I am the Guardian, it said. I do not protect the pyramid, I protect its purpose. Vera stared at the being, her throat dry. Why am I here? She asked. Liam passed the trial. He gave everything. Yes, the Guardian replied. But a new age cannot be built on sacrifice alone. It must also be guided. Vera lowered her gaze. I'm no leader, she whispered. I'm the daughter of a fallen people. I've done nothing worthy. The Guardian raised one hand, and a circle of glowing mirrors rose from the ground around her. Each mirror reflected a different part of her past. In one she was a child, hiding as her city fell to raiders. In another, she was lying to Liam, afraid he would hate her for the truth. In another, she watched as her people traded knowledge for safety, dooming generations. Vera turned her eyes away, ashamed. I've made mistakes, she said. So many. The Guardian's voice softened slightly. Mistakes are not chains, unless you choose to wear them. The mirrors melted into dust and floated upward. Tell me, Vera of Zephyrian, the Guardian said. What would you do with the key to the future? Vera hesitated. She remembered Liam's face, his courage, his choice. I would protect the ones no one sees, she said, her voice growing firm. I would teach humans and aliens to trust again, to speak again, to believe again. The Guardian lifted a hand, and suddenly a weapon formed in the air, but it wasn't a blade. It was a staff of crystal and light, glowing with the same energy as the pyramid's core. Then face the final challenge, the Guardian said. Not with violence, but with resolve. The ground rumbled as shadows slithered across the floor. From the edges of the chamber, dark shapes rose, forms of fear, doubt, and hatred, shaped like beasts. They growled and hissed, circling Vera like vultures. These are the echoes of every civilization that failed this place, the Guardian said. They will test your strength, not your arms, but your spirit. Vera gripped the staff. Breathing slowly, the first beast lunged, made of fire and screaming voices. It represented rage, the kind that starts wars and ends peace. She didn't strike. She stood still and whispered, I forgive. The beast stopped midair and shattered like glass. The second rose, a creature of ice and silence. It represented indifference, the kind that watches suffering and does nothing. Vera looked at it, tears in her eyes, and said, I will care. The beast froze, then vanished one by one. They came envy, pride, greed, sorrow. And one by one, Vera met them with truth, with light, with courage, until only one remained, a shadow shaped like Liam, but twisted, broken, full of blame. You let him die. It hissed, he trusted you, and you led him to his end. Vera fell to her knees. This wound, this guilt was real. I know, she whispered. I wish I could change it. I wish I had warned him, but he made his choice. And I will honor it every day of my life. The shadow of Liam stared at her, silent. Then it stepped forward, and gently placed a hand on her shoulder, not to harm, but to forgive. Then it faded into light. The guardian stepped forward again. The final beast was yourself, it said, and you have passed. The staff in Vera's hands dissolved into her chest, leaving behind a mark of soft gold light. You are now the keeper of the flame, the guardian said. The galaxy will follow your voice because it echoes with truth. The walls of the chamber opened, not back into the pyramid, but into the stars. A ship, sleek and silver, hovered just beyond the threshold, waiting. The guardian faded into stardust, and Vera stood alone, not as a lost girl, but as the new beacon of unity. She took a deep breath and walked forward into the stars, carrying Liam's memory and the hope of a better galaxy. The silver ship hummed softly as Vera stepped aboard. Its walls were smooth like glass, lit by soft blue light. No crew, no control panel, only silence. But she knew it was waiting for her. The pyramid had sent it, and now her journey would begin. The door closed behind her, sealing her from the desert and the past. She took one last breath before walking deeper into the ship. Each step forward felt heavy with memory, heavy with Liam. As she reached the center of the vessel, a glowing chair rose from the floor, not mechanical, more like it was grown from light itself. The moment she sat, the ship responded. Stars flickered across the windows, and with no engine roar, no sound at all, the ship lifted off, breaking through the atmosphere of Zephyrian 5 in perfect stillness. Below, the pyramid slowly sank back into the sand, its purpose fulfilled for now, waiting for the next soul worthy of its secrets. Vera stared out the wide window as the planet faded behind her. Then she spoke softly to the stars. Liam, I'm going to finish what you started. The ship flew faster than light, gliding across systems. It carried not just Vera, but the message of sacrifice, unity, and a new hope for the galaxy. She began visiting worlds. At first, the people didn't believe her, a lone alien woman, speaking of a human who gave his life to change the future. But she carried the mark of the pyramid, golden light glowing from her palm. And that mark could not be denied. On the planet Meridian, she helped too. Enemy species signed their first peace accord in 500 years. On the moon city of Avex 9, she saved a dying water child using pyramid knowledge. And on a distant mining world full of humans and aliens both, she stood before a divided crowd and told Liam's story. Every word was simple, but every word cut deep. He was one of you, she told them. He could have walked away, but he didn't. He saw something in this galaxy worth saving, even when it didn't see him. News of the Keeper of the Flame spread across star channels. Some called her a prophet, others a legend, but she didn't care for titles. She only cared about finishing the path Liam had opened. One day, years later, Vera found herself standing in a large hall on Earth. She had been invited to speak before the United Galactic Council. Leaders from over 70 worlds gathered under one roof, and they were listening. She stood at the podium, silent at first. The golden mark on her hand glowed as thousands of eyes watched her. I come to you not as a queen or warrior, she said, but as someone who once lied. Someone who once believed humans were weak. But one human changed my world. She looked up at the crowd, her voice steady. His name was Liam. And today, I ask you to remember him, not because he was powerful, not because he was famous, but because he chose to give his life for a galaxy that didn't yet believe in itself. Many in the hall lowered their heads, some wiped silent tears, no one interrupted. After her speech, a vote was called. It was the first time in history that all worlds voted for the same thing, the Unity Accord, a shared promise between alien races and humans to protect peace, life and learning across the stars, and they named it after him, the Liam Protocol. Years passed, monuments were built, schools were opened. Children of all species learned about the human who touched the pyramid and gave the galaxy a second chance. But Vera never stopped, even as she grew older, even as her hair silvered with time. Every planet she visited, every leader she met, she always began her message with the same words. He was just one man, but he was the chosen one. And when her time came, when she felt her body growing weak and her journey near its end, she returned to the sands of Zephyrian 5. The pyramid rose again from the desert, waiting for her, and as she stood at its base, she placed her hand on the stone. I kept my promise, she whispered. I told them about you. The pyramid glowed one last time, and the door opened silently. She stepped inside, not as a student, not as a betrayer, but as the one who carried the flame. Inside, she found the room of memories again, and there, in the center, stood two glowing lights, one for Liam, one for her, two souls, one mission, forever remembered. And as the doors closed behind her, the stars above shimmered, and the galaxy whispered his name, Liam, the chosen one.